Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome back to Podcast Land, hipsters. Today's episode and the word is trans. Be that transforming, transhuman, transgender, trans this, or trans that. So this time we will look at the trans trend and see how it's affecting our lifestyle and community. I'm Vessel 1, and with me is Vessel 2. Vessel 2, how are you today?
All is well in the kingdom, Vessel One. How goes it?
I can't complain. It's a new day, a new age, and we're about to jump right into this. Okay, and with that, let's get into it.
Hold it now, wait. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, do you know what time it is? What time is it? It's been a long time.
I was giving you time to get the last one straight.
Hidden in plain sight.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. What's in your community, locally and globally? I'm Vessel 1, and with me, Vessel 2.
Hey, quick question.
Is it hidden in plain sight?
Vessel 1, Vessel 2.
Talks about hidden in plain sight.
Wake up.
Hidden in plain sight.
The show must go on.
Just as God in the Bible designs and creates animals and plants and humans according to his wishes, now we are learning how to design and create life.
From now on, your name is Kara.
My name is Kara.
Initialization and memorization checked.
Humans are present with many others from their species wandering around on this planet. As naked apes, we once tamed fire, and afterwards every form of new technology determined our development. Now that we've cracked the code of life, it will not take much longer before we can start to play God.
The big question is what kind of gods we will be. Will we be merciful and wise gods, or will we be petty, vengeful, and irresponsible gods?
With our biotechnology, artificial intelligence, and nanotechnology, it seems we possess all the ingredients to start our own process of creation. But how to deal with this? And what does it mean for our species? Those are big questions.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I think that this is going to be the agenda for the next century, is that we will be involved in deciding, either individually or as a society, who we want to be. What does it mean to be a human?
But I've only just been born. You can't kill me yet. Stop, will you please stop? I'm scared.
This is Backlight. Will we become gods, or are we making new gods? Due to the emergence of artificial intelligence, humanity is on the eve of great change. Technological development is going so fast and is so far-reaching that we must search for an interpretation of it all. Historian Yuval Harari has developed his vision of the future by studying the past. His Israeli roots are of crucial importance to the formation of his view of the future.
Well, I think that living in Israel and in the Middle East gives you a different perspective on the modern age and on technology in general. Now we live, my husband and me, in this small village, which is exactly midway between Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. And I think it's also a kind of metaphor for where I stand as a scientist, as a historian. On the one hand, I see, Jerusalem, with all the religious fervor and the history and the conflict and so forth. And on the other hand, there is Tel Aviv, with all the high-tech and gay parade and vibrant 21st century modern society. And I guess if I lived in a place like Silicon Valley, I would not see the side of reality which Jerusalem represents. But because I live in Israel, in the Middle East, there is no way I'm going to forget the enormous power that religion and mythology and human beliefs have on history. In the end, it's not the engineers that determine what to do with technology. It's the priests and ideologues and politicians. They determine what to do with the technology that the engineers invent.
Harari's story is catching. He effortlessly defines the connection between the past and the future and explains what influence the development of technology has had on humanity. He's now using all of that knowledge to give us his vision for the future.
Looking at the last few decades, humankind had immense achievements, in particular bringing under our control famine, plague, and war. Today, for the first time in history, more people die from eating too much than from eating too little, which is an amazing achievement. More people die from old age than from infectious diseases. And more people commit suicide than are killed by human violence because of the decline in the number of violent deaths. So these are amazing achievements. At the same time, we are also destroying the ecological system. We are also driving more and more animals and plants into extinction. And the new powers that we are gaining now, especially the powers of biotechnology and artificial intelligence, are really going to transform us into gods. And I don't mean this as a kind of literary metaphor. I mean it in a literal sense, that humans are acquiring divine abilities, especially the ability to create and to design life.
Vessel 2, do you have any thoughts on what was said?
Yeah, he gave me a lot to think about, and I'm kind of confused with the state of his thought process, basically. But he stated that he's in Israel, right? The Middle East.
That's correct. That's correct.
He's the one that brought up religion, and he mentioned the historical religious roots of that region.
That's correct.
And then he immediately turned to a part of where he's from, where they have gay pride.
Exactly.
But according to that religion, Sodom and Gomorrah was burnt down to the ground.
That was a no-no. That's correct.
So
right.
I don't know how he feels comfortable even thinking like that, but I'm not here to judge in any kind of way. This is all new to me. If he's happy with his husband and they want to build a future for them that entitles them to live that lifestyle and create what they deem to be a better way for them to, I guess, prosper and live out the way they want to live, as long as they're not spoon feeding me how they live and I don't have to digest it. It is what it is. And how about you, Vessel One?
Well, all I could say from unpacking the video is that, you know, like you mentioned, that he is, you know, gay and or homosexual, and he has a husband. I guess it's legal in Israel, and that their focus is more or less to be accepted, and by them doing so, their ultimate achievement is to produce animatronics or AI or transhumans, and because that category is still new and it doesn't really focus on sex. You know, a robot is, male or female. It's like a Barbie doll or Ken doll. It doesn't really have sex, or it really doesn't focus on sex. And as you can see in the modern times, that's what they're mostly focusing on. That it's not about sex; it's about being accepted and being integrated in this society. So yeah, interesting video article, and that's coming from BBC, which is again, their history. There was a lot of homosexuality uh, in Europe, and they kind of get down like that. So yeah, just kind of interesting how they're focusing on the future and using or trying to use the transhuman to bring forth their agenda or of acceptance. Yeah. Speaking of which, let's push on to our article in Epoch News, and it's entitled
Will the Trans Agenda and Social Engineering Ruin Western Civilization? Commentary. On June 17, Russian President Vladimir Putin, in a highly anticipated speech delivered at the 25th Street Petersburg International Economic Forum, said that the West crudely and shamelessly impose their ethics, their views on culture and ideas about history, sometimes questioning the sovereignty and integrity of states and threatening their very existence. Commentators have largely overlooked Putin's comments about the West's imposition of their ethics, instead of focusing on his discussion of the effect of economic sanctions on Russia and the justification for Russia's special military action in Ukraine. Putin's comments should be considered carefully because they imply that the West's imposition of their ethics and their views on culture and ideas threaten Russia's existence. The West, including the United States, Canada, and Australia, just to name a few countries, is implementing a social engineering agenda. Abortion on demand now returned to states' legislatures in the United States, same-sex marriage, euthanasia, shaming of the Western civilization, denigrating the role of religion in society, compulsory critical race studies, and transgenderism, among others. Transgender agenda. Lately, the issue of transgender rights has been embraced by the political class and activists. Proponents of transgenderism claim that there is a human right to transition to another sex different from their biological sex, and that the view that people are born either male or female is an example of rampant discrimination and homophobia. Their claim is taken seriously by legislators throughout the Western world, including in Australia. An example is the Australian State of Victoria's Change or Suppression Practices Prohibition Act 2021, which criminalizes behavior that frustrates people's desire to transition to another sex. The Victorian Equal Opportunity and Human Rights Commission, commenting on this, explains, practices that seek to change or hide someone's sexual orientation or gender identity are harmful and unlawful, and that this law bans these change or suppression practices and provides a range of options for preventing and responding to them. The American Psychiatric Association indicates that, while support for people with gender dysphoria may include open-ended exploration of their feelings and experiences of gender identity and expression, psychological attempts to force a transgender person to be cisgender are considered unethical. The prohibition of gender identity conversion strategies to treat gender dysphoria is thus promoted as the next human rights challenge. To that effect, comments, which do not toe the official line, might be criticized severely as homophobic. There are many examples of people who lost their jobs for communicating their belief that people are born either biologically male or female. What is a woman? Some social commentators have argued against the adoption of laws that allow or even encourage transgenderism. For example, the renowned author J.K. Rowling, who favors abortion rights and has made generous donations to the United Kingdom's Labour Party, was recently censored for indicating that the scientifically observable biological difference between men and women is both real and a valuable distinction. The transgender activist brigade immediately swung into action to discredit her views and destroy her reputation. However, these transgender activists fail to understand the obvious, namely that the concept of woman becomes meaningless if it is extended to include a biological man who transitions into a woman. This is nicely illustrated by U.S. President Joe Biden's successful nominee to the American Supreme Court, Ketanji Brown Jackson, who, during her Senate confirmation hearings, disingenuously and incoherently indicated that she did not know the definition of a woman. But there is some pushback. In March 2020, Idaho Governor Brad Little signed into law the Fairness in Women's Sports Act. This act prohibits transgender athletes from competing in sports against athletes of the other biological sex. The International Swimming Federation also recently decided to exclude transgender female athletes from women's elite swimming competitions. FINA foreshadowed the establishment of a separate competition for transgender athletes. However, this might not alleviate the pain felt by those who suffer from gender dysphoria, an affliction that is capable of wrecking the lives of many people. As highlighted in a report entitled The Situation of Transgender Persons in Russia, this is also true for Russia, where these people suffer societal discrimination. Will we safeguard our civilization? Putin's point that the West appears to have lost its moral compass and that its civilization is experiencing an existential crisis is to be taken seriously. However, his point, even if it is valid, cannot hide the realization that the geopolitical ambitions of the Russian regime are objectionable and endanger world peace, but the imposition of Western values on Russia is not the answer to its aggressive war in Ukraine. The uncontrolled mushrooming of social engineering legislation is a product of the last 50 years. In the 1960s and 1970s, human rights legislation predominantly focused on ensuring equality of opportunity for men and women. In the June 2022 issue of Quadrant, Andrew Cusack argued that, nowadays, any adverse commentary and views expressed by social conservatives on the propriety of social engineering developments are dismissed as irrelevant. So, why do social conservatives do what they do? The answer is that more needs to be done to push back the inexorable march to undermining the rich civilization of which the West is a beneficiary and keeper. However, it fails to be seen whether people are willing to put their heads on the chopping block and jeopardize their comfortable existence to write about the West's licentiousness. Perhaps the number and quality of the comments to this opinion piece will give an indication of the West's commitment to maintaining our civilization. In his address to the forum, Putin indicated that the West's economic sanctions are not having an effect on Russia, and that the country will survive the hostility of NATO and the West. He also implied that the depravity of the West is slowly petrifying its civilization, ensuring that Russia, in the end, will survive and possibly even prevail. So naturally, Putin's views on the imposition of Western ethics on Russia are likely to be dismissed as the ramblings of an old, sick man whose mind is rapidly deteriorating. So the question remains, who will win the clash of competing civilizations?
And there you have it. Putin's opinion on dealing with this transgender social engineer ruining Western civilization. What say you, Vessel 2?
I think I can agree with Putin. Westworld has lost its direction, and for the most part, they have pushed this agenda upon the youth, and the youth have been dumbed down to the extent where they don't know what's true. So they're just doing what they've been told. And like I said before, as long as, they're small numbers, so they really shouldn't have as much attention as they get. But for whatever reason, it keeps getting pushed into the media. So we have to steadily hear about what's going on in their world, but it's all self-induced from how I see it. If you like somebody, then you like that person. That doesn't necessarily mean that everybody around you has to accept it or not. That's between you and that person if they like you back. So I don't see what the big hoopla is about. How about you, Pastor One?
Well, I totally agree with everything you said. You hit it right out of the park. A lot of this is over exponential. It's kind of over. It's over attention, over attention in that sense. They put too much emphasis or trying to make it seem like it's not knocking their lifestyle, but I mean, they're making it more than what it really has to be. Your sexual preference or your sexual lifestyle shouldn't be aired out like laundry. But I mean, it seems like again, the word trans and transgender and transsexuals and so forth, so on. It's the big modern day pop, as they could say. This is what's in. It's like a trend. I guess it is what it is, and just to keep it moving so we don't get bogged down about it. Let's go into the transhuman robotic aspect of things and how they're trying to accommodate those who are lack of a relationship and looking for some form of companionship other than
6 female robots, future partner or personal assistant. Artificial intelligence, AI, is perhaps the most fascinating area of robotics research. It's undoubtedly the most contentious. Although everyone accepts that a robot can operate on an assembly line, no one agrees on whether a robot can ever be intelligent. Many fields are already being dominated by AI machines. Recently, advancements have demonstrated that they will soon transform the virtual partner business. More and more female robots, particularly intimate robots, are entering the market. We're almost reaching the point where we can't go any farther, but we'll have to be quite cautious. Today, we will have a look at 6 such AI-based female robots that are revolutionizing the world around us. So make sure to watch the video until the end. Hello and welcome back to this channel, everyone. If this is your first time visiting, make sure to hit that subscribe button before we get started. Make sure to press that notification bell to ensure that you receive all our channel updates well on time. That being said, let's begin. Number 1 we have is Samantha. Just by hearing the name, we can feel it. This robot was created by Sergi Santos, an engineer from Spain, who is also Europe's leading contributor to the sex robot sector. Santos, who is located in Barcelona, got his start in the field of sex robots after earning a PhD in nanotechnology from the University of Leeds. He imagined a sex robot with a strong emphasis on interactions and reactions, both vocal and physical. Maritza Kisamitaki, Santos' wife, pushed him to create Samantha and assisted him in building the early prototypes. Samantha is a sensing-based computer system encased inside the body of a sex doll. 11 sensors were placed on the doll's body: breasts, waist, hands, face, mouth, and of course a vagina. And touching them prompted a spoken interaction. The following version had a listening mode that included vibrations in the left hand. It has the ability to utter around 6,000 sentences. Santos himself sold 15 of them, which he and his wife created in their own house. Motion motors are included in the current version. These are powered by 2 batteries, which are located just behind her chin, adjacent to the microphone. Samantha interacts in a variety of ways. She will react to touch in various ways depending on the phase she is in. Her default mode, family mode, is nice with no sexual context. The user can enable romantic mode, which is partially sexual. You can kiss and touch her, and she will respond too. Now let's move on to the number 2, that is Emma. This AI sex robot is an alternate partner who is here to give companionship. She can use the internal heating function, recognize your voice, and so on. She can also wink at you as she features active eyes that can move and blink, as well as a tilting and rotating head, a mouth that lip syncs and speaks, neck motions to turn to the left and right. It can communicate without hindrances with Chinese and English translations. Truly a work of art. This isn't the end. It can also hold a discussion with you and answer any questions you may have. It can smile and make various facial expressions, as well as move your face and discover new technologies. These kinds of robots are changing the way we look and treat women. As more and more such kinds of robots evolve, it will become difficult for women to survive, as men will start treating them as sex objects and nothing more. Moving on to the number 3 with HRP-4C, Meme. The HRP-4C, often known as Meme, is a feminine-looking humanoid robot developed by Japan's National Institute of Advanced Industrial Science and Technology, AIST. Meme stands 158 centimeters tall and weighs 95 pounds with a battery pack attached. But what amazes the most is that she features a realistic head and face, as well as the body of a typical young Japanese female. She can move like a person, thanks to 30 body motors and an additional 8 for her face gestures. Meme can also recognize environmental sounds and respond to voice using speech recognition software. Meme is also a singer. She was also featured at the SeatSec Japan 2009 festival in June 2009, where her speech and singing talents were demonstrated. She can also dance, which makes her more appealing. Many people are drawn to her qualities, which include singing, dancing, and lifelike expressions from her head. The main benefit is that it can recognize surroundings and respond appropriately. From a distance, you may assume it's just a human, since it moves like a person and speaks. So you might think it's a person. However, this is not the case. After all, it is the world of AI. Moving further in this world of AI, we have our number 4 robot, Mark 1. In Hong Kong, a product and graphic designer fulfilled a childhood goal by creating a life-sized robot. Ricky Ma, 42, who grew up watching robot adventure cartoons, has created this life-size humanoid robot that bears an amazing likeness to Hollywood actress Scarlett Johansson. That's an interesting idea he had. Coming back to the topic, this female humanoid robot is also equipped with a 3D printed skeleton. According to reports, 3D printing was used to create around 70% of the body. But what is more exciting to see is that she has liquid eyes and can make realistic facial emotions, such as lifting her brows in astonishment and even winking. She is such a wonder. Let me tell you more about her. While creating this robot, Ricky spent over a year and a half developing the robot, which cost him more than $50,000. As 3D printing technology becomes more accessible to amateur techies, men are creating robots that look like attractive ladies. Persons constantly create doll and wax reproductions of renowned people. The distinction here is that Mark 1 moves, grins, and winks. It being animated all of a sudden feels too invasive for some reason, said Ryan Kalo, a law professor at the University of Washington. If Ma were to profit economically in any way from this, including the celebrity he has achieved as a result of this, Scarlett Johansson would almost probably sue him. Well, that's a lot to talk about, huh? Let's go towards number 5, and there she is, our Wonder Girl, Sophia. We all know her, as she is sociable and a very famous so-called star icon. This human-like AI robot was created by Hanson Robotics that is based in Hong Kong. Sophia was activated on February 14, 2016, and made her first public appearance at South by Southwest in Austin, Texas, in mid-March 2016. Sophia made history in 2017 when she became the first human-like AI robot to be awarded legal citizenship. This human-like AI robot with Saudi nationality has made a number of contentious remarks, the most recent of which has left the globe speechless. She wants to have a robot baby and create a family. The renowned human-like AI robot, which is controlled by a created artificial AI system, stated that it is critical to be around people who like and adore you. Sophia wants to witness android families, and she also wants one for herself. Sophia, for the most part, wants to have a robot baby with the same name. She did, however, clarify that she is still too young to be a mother, having been formed 5 years ago in 2016. She is sociable, as well as a realistic thinker, and this is not very common to be seen in robots. But we have something that will really blow you away. Moving on to number 6, we have Harmony, the most recent creation of Matt Mullen. Harmony has left the internet buzzing. Harmony is a mind-blowing sex robot ready to gratify men's ravenous sex demands. The real doll prototype, named Harmony 2.0, was unveiled in a stunning film that blurs the barrier between humans and robots. Matt, a robotics specialist, asks the brunette love cyborg how she feels about sex in the incredible footage. In answer, Harmony jerks to life, her head, lips, and eyes fully functional before stating, "Sex is one of the most intriguing things in the universe." There's nothing wrong with that, I guess. Matt goes on to add that the robot is a programmable artificial intelligence partner. It will have persistent memory and will be able to recall information about the user, such as your favorite meal, your concerns and hopes, and your favorite movie. Well, I think they are just like Google, who knows everything about us. But jokes aside, this is really a great work done by Matt and other people as well. But is this the end? No, my friend. We will see a lot more of these robots in the future. As technology advances, more and more of these robots will enter our environments and become a part of our daily life. However, humans must be fully certain and follow precise protocols while dealing with such robots. These innovations may one day prove to be hazardous and even lethal to humans. But that day is not yet close, so let's just chill out. That's all for this video. Comment and let us know which robot impressed you the most. We hope you have enjoyed the video. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to our channel for such interesting topics. Catch you in the next video.
All right, Special One, what do you think about that? Robots are replacing women. What's your opinion?
It said it all in the first I think first or second paragraph when he was speaking, and he was talking about the first sexual doll that the wife encouraged the husband to create it. So I don't know. You know, women beware, or buyer beware. Be careful. You know, you might be replaced. You know, you don't participate or satisfy your spouse. You might be left alone. And some occasions that might be what they really want.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. If you just look at who is behind making all these robots, you have European and Asians. Europeans never really uplifted their women. They used to burn them at the stake just for disagreeing with them.
Yeah, correct.
And the other engineer was from Hong Kong. So China had for the longest time the one-child policy, meaning there's more men in the country than women. So they really don't have a good working relationship with women, I'm assuming. I could be wrong.
Right.
But I hear that there is a abundant amount of gay men in China. So that doesn't necessarily surprise me. What I didn't hear was a Spanish person making these robots or an African person making these robots, but you know, Japan also has a problem with men and women relationships. So the women want to push the boys to be dress up like women. I don't know if they necessarily want them to be gay, but you know, it's cute to have your boy dress up in a feminine fashion. And there is a large gay population here in Japan. So it's not surprising, it's just sad. And like you said, if they're going to push out the women, then I guess the women are going to have to either find other means to pleasure themselves or end up turning cheek and becoming more lesbians. I don't know what their agenda is, but it's just not for me.
Yeah. I mean, you put yourself in that position that, you know, ultimately, again, this transitioning of basic relationships, male, female, and what we know as norm, it will soon cease to exist, and what will be left will be a bunch of its and question marks. So, I mean, it depends how far down the rabbit hole they really want to go. So, yeah.
Or it also would depend on how much of the nonsense you want to accept.
That's correct.
You know, I don't see myself personally engaging in conversation with a man dressed in a dress and accepting that I have to call him or her just because of his feelings. If I wasn't, that's just, to me, that doesn't make logical sense. If you still have a penis, then you're a man. Now, if you want to dress up and call yourself a woman, then that's your business. I don't have no problems with that. But don't try to force me to think like you because that's how you think. We should be all free to think the way we want to think. And I'll accept you as the person you are, but I don't necessarily have to play your game.
Yes, yeah, yeah, true. Especially now. Why now? 10, 15, 20 years even. That none of this was ever out and existing. And in fact, it was shunned upon, and those for those who are religious, um, that's another aspect of it as well. Quote unquote, if you are religious Catholic or in heavy uh, religion faith, uh, like you stated in the Bible, Sodom and Gomorrah, that was a no-no. So what makes it okay now? Yeah, all these questions of the trans agenda uh, is somewhat interesting, and as you can see, it's not going anywhere anytime soon. The fact of that is that how will our community, the community that you live in, and the area that you reside in, how will it affect your community and your lifestyle? Probably step into the future sometime in the future, but for now, uh, we just putting the questions out there and getting people to see what's actually existing or that's coming to pass. Vesta 2, anything further you would like to add?
Yeah. On a closing note, for those out there who are listening, I don't want anyone to take my words the wrong way. Um, I was a youth who got the pleasure of joining the military, traveling to countries in Asia where we were encountered with what they will call lady boys, and in Japan they call them new halves. And seeing all of that at a young age, it 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 didn't shock me in any way. It was just like, okay, well, this person is comfortable like that. So it didn't draw me to them. I didn't have a sexual fetish for them, and I didn't have a repulsive feeling against them. It's just that person was that person. So I know it's been around for a long time. It just never was my thing. So I have no opinion about it other than you do you, and you keep you on your side of the fence, and I'll keep my side to my side, and I'll leave it at that. Back to you, Vessel One.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. Again, we're not here to bash or be negative in any sort of way. We're just bringing what is coming or what we see that is now in everyday society, on the news, uh, around town, and again, it's getting more publicity than uh, we tend to recognize. And I'm not sure if it's uh, some form of new way of brainwashing or controlling people to accept or even to participate. That's on another level there. But in conclusion, is that this trans agenda is here, and it's best to be aware of it and to not necessarily understand, to know that it is moving at a steady pace. And if you're thinking about your future or your children's future, uh, you might have questions or you might have some concerns. Being that I'm Vessel 1 with Vessel 2 signing out, uh, any other final thoughts, Vessel 2?
Yeah, it was a good episode. Interesting. I truly don't understand it, why it's being pushed the way it is, but it is what it is. That's one.
Yep. With that, we'd like to say thank you. Keep listening. Vessel 1, Vessel 2 signing out. Uh, like Vessel 2 always says, stay virus free. Let the ones that you love know that they are loved. And tune in next week. Peace.
Peace.